Our series, How I Became A, digs into the stories of accomplished and influential people, finding out how they got to where they are in their careers. Editor's note: this interview has been edited for brevity and clarity. Between a podcast, a media company, 6 books, including this year's New York Times bestseller, Girl, Wash Your Face, 4 kids, and producing conferences, Rise and Rise Together, it's safe to say that Rachel Hollis doesn't have much free time. From her beginnings interning at Miramax and starting an event planning company to becoming an author and founding creative agency Chic Media, which was recently rebranded to the Hollis Co., Hollis has more than held her own in a visionary space. USA Today caught up with the Austin, Texas-based New York Times bestseller and one of Inc.'s top 30 entrepreneurs under 30 to talk about everything from iced Americanos and Beyoncé to expanding worldviews and paying attention to your audience. Author and entrepreneur Rachel Hollis poses with her 4 children and husband, Dave Hollis, CEO of the Hollis Co. Photo: The Hollis Co. Question: what's your coffee order? Answer: iced Americano with almond milk and cinnamon. Q: what's the last book you read? A: I'm reading Homesick and Happy, a non-fiction book about sending your kids to summer camp because my kids are currently at summer camp and I'm trying to cope with them not being with me. Q: what are 3 of your go-to songs or podcasts for a busy day? My favorite podcast ever is How I Built This. Anything Beyoncé has ever sung. Ever, Can't Hold Us, by Macklemore. What's the coolest thing you've ever done? ATHE travel that I have been able to do. The reason that matters to me is that my grandparents were migrant farm workers. They literally picked cotton. Their worldview was very small, so every time I have the opportunity to travel, especially somewhere internationally, and I've been able to go to such incredible places and meet such amazing people and eat insanely delicious food, I'm always reminded of the idea that my grandmother could not fathom the life that I get to live now. It feels like something I'm so incredibly grateful for. Question: who is your biggest mentor? Hollis: I like to say that I have a bunch of amazing mentors who don't know I exist. I am sort of the queen of digitally absorbing wisdom from people that I admire: Oprah, Sheryl Sandberg, Dave Ramsey. They don't know I am, but I have read every book and listened to every interview, and use that to inspire myself when I'm feeling low and guide the building of my business. More: how I became an animator at Pixar, Korea Yoku Talks starting out, projects and Brad Bird. More: how I became a late-night talk show host, Jimmy Fallon Talks career, family and McCartney. More: how I became a late-night talk show host, Jimmy Fallon Talks career, family and McCartney. A new round of talented young cooks storms the kitchen to win over the judges, chefs Roble Ali, Left, Marcus Samuelson and blogger Rachel Hollis. The 3 pose with Ted Allen, host of the Food Network TV show, Chopped Jr. The 3 judged on Basket Brawl, from Season 3, Episode 11, Photo, Food Network. Q: what does your career path look like? Hollis: I graduated high school a year early and moved to Los Angeles to go to acting school, which is hilarious. I was a few months into the first year at that school and ended up getting an internship at Miramax Films, back when that mattered. It was my first job, and the summer of that first year I was offered the kind of job that I would hope to get after I graduated. I promptly dropped out of school and started working full-time. I went from that production company to another production company and had the opportunity to do event planning. I thought it was so glamorous, and I just loved that world of event planning. I was just dumb and naive enough to believe that I could start my own firm, and I did. I did event planning for about a decade. In the process of having an event planning company, I started blogging, so, like, 2008, when blogging was really exploding. So, that gave me a forum and I started dipping into social media and learned how to become an influencer before influencer was a word, and fully just built to where I am today. I think that everything content-wise that we've put out in the last half a decade is really just organically wherever I am in my life. So, 5 years ago, I mostly just talked about food. I was a mom of young children and I was trying to figure out what to feed them for dinner, and I really just made a name for myself as a food blogger. Over time I started to do a lot of work in personal development and really cared about my own growth and how I was becoming a better version of myself. As I went on that journey, I just sort of took the fans along for the ride, and that has led to where we are today. As a company, our mission has been the same from the very beginning. The way we offer it up to people is different, but our mission has always been giving women the tools to change their lives. What that looks like 5 or 8 years ago was, here's how to make it easier to get dinner on the table, or here's an easier way to get your kids to do their chores or listen better at school. Now that means, how can you set goals for yourself? How can you work on personal development? As we move forward into the future, that's still the mission on our hearts. How do we maybe give you some ideas or give you some questions to ask yourself to prompt change? There are so many things in the motivation and self-help space that are meant speaking to everybody, and I just think there's something really unique about how most women can receive that information, and that's what we are doing. An image of Rachel Hollis from the cover of her cookbook, Upscale Down Home, Family Recipes, all gussied up photo, St. Martin's Press. Q. What does a typical day look like for you? Hollis. I'm a pretty early riser, so I'm sort of the queen of 5 a.m. I love getting up early. It's how I've written most of my books, that hour and a half before my kids are up. I'm usually up having coffee. We just moved, so everything's just a dumpster fire, but when it comes back down it's using that time to get a jump on my day, get coffee, have a little bit of calm before the kids roll out of bed. Gratitude practice is really, really important to me. I think it's an incredible way to start your day. Then, children wake up, and it's madness and chaos trying to get them breakfast and get them out of the door to school, get myself ready, and go to work. My work really changes depending on the day. So sometimes that means I'm catching a flight and I'm going to a keynote speech in a different part of the country. Right now I have a book due, so I've got edits due at the end of the week that I should be working on and honestly haven't done as much as I should. It could be meetings, it could be a photo shoot, it just really depends. I'm usually back home by 5 so that we have that time in the evenings as a family. My husband and I love happy hour, and when I say happy hour I really just mean sitting on the back patio, flip-flops on, having a glass of wine, and then dinner. I go to bed really early because I wake up really early, so I'm like your grandma. I'm usually asleep by 9:30. Rachel Hollis, a popular motivational speaker and the best-selling author of Girl Wash Your Face, poses with a fan who bought her book and had it signed. Photo, courtesy of Rachel Hollis. Q. What has been your biggest career high and your biggest career low? Hollis. Low. When I had finished my first book and the very last publisher called, after being turned down by every publisher there was, and said that they wouldn't buy the book. I just was devastated, from the bottom of my heart. I thought, this is the end of my dream, I'll never be an author, I'm a terrible writer, everything that you say to yourself in that moment. Hi, my highest high has been how overwhelmed I am, in the best way, by the reception to this book, Girl, Wash Your Face. It's beyond expectation, and it is entirely because of this tribe of women who have rallied behind it and keep pushing it into their social feeds, and telling their friends and buying it for their mom, and just passing it around. It is the highest high I have ever experienced because it feels like this lifetime of working for something and all of a sudden it's beyond what I could have imagined. Rachel Hollis posted this picture of herself on Facebook celebrating her body. The image has close to 400,000 likes on Facebook. Photo, facebook.com/the Chic site. Q. What's the biggest lesson you have learned throughout your career? Hollis. I think that a lot of the success that we have had as a company has been because we have paid attention to what the audience has wanted. We've been really fluid in what we were creating and how we were serving it up. I think so many people who maybe start out in a certain industry get really set in their ways or really romantic about what they produce or how it's given to our customers, and we really have let the customers guide us. As they have asked for things, that's what we have responded to. I heard it years ago. I was at a conference, and it was Miriam Nafisi. She started Minted. She said, follow the signs of life. She said to pay attention to what your customers care about. This was probably 8 years ago. I remember writing that down in a journal, and I have used that as a guiding principle ever since. Rachel Hollis, a speaker known as the Tony Robbins for Women, speaks to a group of women during a Rise conference to get them to know that they can change the world. Photo, courtesy of Rachel Hollis. Q. What advice would you give to someone who wants to follow in your footsteps? Hollis, don't follow in my footsteps. Blaze your own trail. I think that anytime we start to compare ourselves to someone else's career or someone else's life, it can be daunting. You're comparing your beginning to my middle. Modeling behavior is really powerful, like when I was talking about having a mentor that I look to online. Following what someone else has done is really wise, but there's a script there. But not having to do it exactly like me, or exactly like anybody else, really stepping into that special thing that makes you you, your own innate brand of weirdness, your unique qualities that make you better than me, because you're being yourself. There's no one way to do this, there's only your way. When you try and copy someone else or when you try and do it like they've done it, you really do a disservice to your own creativity. When you let that fly, that's when you have success. I started, girl, wash your face, by telling people that I peed my pants. Nobody does that. And if I had tried to be like acclaimed research professor Brené Brown, and wise and research-filled, it wouldn't have found this niche of women like, man, I peed myself too. So I would say, don't do it like I do it. Do it how you do it. Read or share this story, https://usat.ly/2kajuk